What is up, everybody? Welcome to another 777, the Kabbalah of Aleister Crowley with my co-host, Nick. Nick, how are you doing? Tell them what you're working on.
What's going on, sir? Thank you very much. Same shit, working on Plato right now. Yeah, that and there's something else I forget that I was working on. I can't remember. I don't know. Yeah, but hopefully have a 3-part series of that coming out eventually. It'll be 2 parts with probably by myself or like covering him, and then the third part, or I could even turn into 2 parts. I wanted to get you and you, Eros, and Magus in the media, and whoever else, maybe the rest of the rejects, come on and actually talk about his stuff, that, this, and that. So I mean, I think it'll be really interesting series.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see like how much this guy's influenced.
If I go on that series, it's going to get heated. I'm telling you right now. I have a different opinion on Plato than a lot of people are.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So
that should be interesting because I think Magus in the media, I think, actually, believe it or not, took some sort of college course, I think, on like Plato.
Right.
So it might actually be interesting to see if you guys have different opinions.
Yeah.
Why? What's normally different? What's different about the way you look at him than most people do?
The influence campaign, right? So he really represents the Persian influence campaign in Greece. So it's not really a Greco belief system that comes through Plato. It's a far more Iranian sort of Zoroastrian method.
I could agree. I could see that.
Yeah. And so when you bring that up with a lot of Platonists, they lose their minds because it's like, what do you mean he's not Greek? Yeah, it's kind of Platonists. I mean, it's not exactly Greek, but it's spread everywhere, which really sort of begs the question of how much influence peddling is Plato doing today? Like maybe this sort of represents that sort of foreign mindset that's still going on. Like Plato's always revered as some sort of a god among philosophers. And I think it has a lot to do with parts of his stuff that maybe the philosophers don't like so much, like the noble eye. That's pushed really hard, Like, I want you to read Plato so that you can read about the noble lie and so that I don't have to do as much heavy lifting. You're just going to lie for me.
Yeah.
So that's one of my like. It's kind of contentious when it comes to this stuff.
Have you ever heard any bad things about him? Somebody was on the other show. I was on a show a couple of weeks ago, and it was beforehand. I mentioned something about Plato, and it's like somebody. I was just like, of course, conspiracy theorist was on. I had a couple of conspiracy theorists on the show. Oh, didn't he fuck kids? I was like, oh, of course he did. I've never once heard that story.
Now that's a they apply that to all Greeks. In fact, Plato was very much against any kind of pederasty and thought that they should stop using the word pederasty because it was giving people the wrong impression about Greek education. Pedophilia was illegal in Greece. It was illegal in Athens. It was illegal in all of these towns. And yet they call teaching children pederasty, which means like having love with a child. And they're like, this is stupid. Why do we keep calling it this? And they're like, it's tradition, like it's funny because we make fun of the dudes who are getting it in a homosexual. So we're making fun of those kids, but it's like, why are you doing that? And so nobody really put the pieces together. And now today, half of the departments in a university think that they're, all a bunch of kid diddlers when there's like 76 pots that show homosexual relationships. In all of the finds in ancient Greece, they've got about 76 or 77 pots that actually show like some kind of a homosexual relationship, which is not that many when you're talking about all of Greece. And so in the 1970s, they started to write books about how gay it was in the ancient Greek world. And now basically people are trying to put the pieces together and say, hey, it's not like this. Like they kind of had a sense of humor about their own civic life and about themselves. And they thought it was funny, right? Because, societies like the ancient Greeks and the ancient Norse pantheon, like they would constantly call each other gay as a sign of like, manliness.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We still do that today, and nobody has that context when they're reading the ancient stuff. They're like, oh, they must be serious. That's not exactly true, So it's a lot of bravado. A lot of people miss that, but once you start to see it, it's like, oh, I get it. But we are on page.
I'm gonna grab my cigarettes. Sorry. Hold on 1 second.
Let me zoom in here. So we are on page 60, number 77. Now this is the part 2, which is still heavily referenced in part 1. They're just like, this is going to be covered in part 2. And yeah, there are a lot of very deep thoughts in this section too, but I don't really see a lot of it being answered. I think that was just to keep people reading. I think they were just like, see section 2, see section 2. And it's like, okay, yeah, but what part of section 2 are you referring to? Because there's a lot here.
Actually, it could have said section 2, number whatever.
Right. It could have been way more specific, but they weren't. It was more of a marketing technique, I think.
And you go to it says see section 1.
Right. That's what I'm going to do, is just cross-reference my own thing 200 times.
Yeah.
So let's start with 77 OZ. Now this is goes back to the purpose of this book and how the gematria is sort of laid out. 77 Oz, the goat. Seal, the Sabbath of the Adepts. Right. This all goes back to is this AE Waite? Who's the guy with Baphomet? It's AE something. Anyways, the Baphomet of the Templars, the idol set up to defy and overthrow the false god, though it is understood that he himself is false. Not an end, but a means. Ooh, that's a big one right there. So if you guys are quote mining this series, false god, though it is understood that he himself is false and not an end, but a means. Right? Like, I can't stress enough, right? If you're going to talk about Crowley all day, at least know 77 is section 2, where you could say exactly what he thinks about Baphomet, which is something that gets used as a false god, even though they know it's false, as an ends or as a means, not as an end. Right? So that can be applied a lot. Note, the 77 equals 7 times 11 magical power in perfection. Magical power in perfection. I don't think Baphomet represents that magical power in perfection. I think they were just trying to get as many of the symbols of perfection in there as possible, and they didn't really do it like it was supposed to do, but has it really done? Like, I think it's more served as a method of distraction as opposed to what they were intending it for.
Distraction.
Right. Most venerable because, or 78 is most venerable because MZLA is shown as the influence descending from on high, whose key is the tarot. And we possess the tarot, the proper number of the name of the messenger of the most exalted one. The account of AIVAS follows in its proper place. Ed. Who's Ed? Interesting. 85 is good since 85 equals 5 times 17. 5 times 17. But he's not saying anything else about it. That's weird. Right? That makes me think that there's a secret going on, is because he's mentioning it as good, but he's not mentioning any of the words that have 85 in it. Now, 86 has a popular consumption because of all the diners that talk about 86ing stuff. That's a sort of spread throughout all of society.
To toss it out, right? To get rid of it.
Right. 86 it. Elohim, the original mischief, but good since it is the key of the pentagram. 5 equals 1 plus 4 equals 14 equals 8 plus 6 equals 86. I don't know. I don't think he wants to throw that one out. He doesn't want 86. 91, merely venerable. Not great, but venerable.
Yeah.
111.
What I said.
111, priceless because of its 37 times 3 symbolism. 37 times 3. Because 37 is a prime number, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the 3, which is, the unity of duality, right? So it's the prime and unity of duality. Priceless because of its 37 times 3 symbolism, its explanation of Aleph, which we seek, and its comment that the unity may be found in thick darkness and in sudden death. Unity can be found in thick darkness and sudden death. So these are both 111 words, I guess. This is the most clear and definite help we have yet in showing Samhati and the destruction of the ego as gates of our final victory. Right? So he's talking a lot about what happens after death through the eyes of Samhati, or this, crossing the abyss, as he called it. 120, see part 1. There we go. You were right. See part 1 and references. So now we got to go back to part 1 to get that one. 124, ODN, Eden. Also, Odin, more obviously. The narrow gate or path between death and the devil.
Yo, I was looking up just before when you were talking about 37. He says priceless because it's 37 times 3. I was like, let me see if I can find words that match 37. Nothing too crazy, but I did find it interesting that it matches Nick and weed. It all makes sense.
Multiply that by 3. All right. 156, Babylon. The most holy and precious name is fully dealt with in Liber 418. Now we got to keep waiting for a Liber 418, which comes by later. Notice 12 times 13 equals 156. This was a name given and ratified by Kabbalah. 156 is not one of the a priori helpful numbers. It is rather a case of the Kabbalah illuminating St. John's intentional obscurity with this number, Babylon 156. 156 is Babylon. So you're talking about the Babylon working between L. Ron and Parsons, 156, right? 165, 11 times 15 should be a number Capricorni pneumatici, not yet fulfilled. Interesting, not yet fulfilled. Capricorn pneumasati. Well, I'd have to look what pneumasati is, but Capricorn is, that's like the 12th sign of the zodiac, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, what is that word?
Pneumasati. Pneumatici? Pneumatici?
Pneumatic, maybe?
Containing
operated by air or gas under pressure.
Ooh, so it's like Capricorn being held by the air? That's something. 201, AR, light, Cal D. No, 201 equals 3 times 67, Bana, as if it were said, light is concealed as a child in the womb of its mother. The occult retort of the Chaldean Magi to the Hebrew sorcerers who affirmed AVR, light, 207, a multiple of 9, but this is a little more than a sectarian squabble. 207 is holy enough, is 207 a multiple of 9, but this is more than a sectarian squalor. 207 is holy enough, I guess. So they went from 201 to 207. Interesting.
I find it interesting. It says light is concealed as a child in the womb of its mother. I mean, you get a flash of light inside the egg.
Bingo. That's exactly what they're talking about.
That's really interesting. He says that. That's exactly what's happening.
Right. And it's so strange because you see that in Phanes Protogonos, right? This Greek god of the beginning of everything. You see that over, like, light is concealed. Who's telling them that light is inside of the mother? Is this just taken on as an act of faith? I don't know. It's weird.
Or coincidence. They just happen to say that, and that's what happens. You know?
Coincidence takes planning.
Yeah. I like that.
206, DBR, the word of power. A useful acquisition, the gateway of the word of light. Well, I think what they're talking about is somehow this light was being told to two factions, right? A sectarian squabble. So they're kind of fighting back and forth over what the words and the numbers actually mean. It's interesting. 210. Upon this holiest number is not fitting to dilate. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm reading the book for, dummy. We may refer to zealotors to Liber 7, chapter 1, Liber Legis, chapter 1, and Liber 418, but this was only revealed later. At first, I only had Abraha, the Lord of Adepts, cf. Abra Melon Ritual. I think it's so weird how he was so obsessed with this Abra Melon Ritual, and then he leaves it halfway done.
Yeah.
What happened? 214.
Yeah, I forgot. I think there was reasons why he did, actually.
Well, yeah, but I thought in magic you're not supposed to have reasons why you didn't do something.
Yeah,
you have reasons for why you do something and complete it, right?
Yeah.
So 214. Rauch is the most seductive numbers to the beginner, yet its crown is Doth. And the letter one learns to regard it as the great obstacle. Look at its promise, 21, ending in the fearful curse of 4, calamity. Right? He's always obsessed with how 4 brings calamity, which is really weird because, you could almost say that, Osiris is the child of 4, 216. I once hoped much from this number as it was the cube of 6, but I fear it only expresses the fixity of mind. Anyhow, it all came to no good. Well, I guess he had a negative experience with 216. But we have DBIR connected with DBR, adding to the secret phallic power. Well, there's secret phallic power in 216, I guess. 220, the number of the verses in Liber Alva Legis. It represents 10 times 22. They even mention that in Alva Legis. The whole word of the law welded into one. Hence, we may be sure that the law shall stand as it is without a syllable of addition. Note the 10 to the 22 modus of the universe of atoms, men, stars. See, 2 new worlds. 10 to the 22. Is that the scalability of the universe? I don't know. 222. The grand scale of 2 may one day be of value. But I guess today is not that day. 256. The 8th power of 2 should be useful. 280. A grand number of the dyad passing to 0 by virtue of the 8, the charioteer who bears the cup of Babylon. See Liber 418, 12th Aether. See also 280 in part 1. 280 in part 1. I'm going to go back and look that up again. But I think those are the actual verses that he's referencing that also reference part 2. So that's kind of interesting. 300, venerable but only useful as explaining the power of the trident and the flame on the altar. Too stable to serve a revolutionary, except insofar as it is fire. 333, see part 1. 340 connects with 6 through Shem, SH, and M. The fire and the water conjoin to make the name thus useful as a hint in ceremonial. Period. Ceremonial what? 358, C part 1, 361, C part 1, connects with the caduceus as the supernal fire, the 6, Rauch 1, Malkut, see illustration of caduceus equinox number 11. 370, the most venerable, see part 1. Again, all this part 1. It derives the secret of creation into the hand of the magician. Si liber Capricorni numata si. So I guess this is his book, Liber Capricorni numata si, that I have not read. I'm going to have to check that out. 400, useful as only a finality or material basis, being 20 times 20. It shows the fixed universe as a system of rolling wheels. 20 equals K, the wheel of fortune. Very nice. 401, see part 1. But Azoth is the elixir prepared and perfect. The neophyte has not got it yet. What do you know about Azoth from your study of alchemy?
Believe it or not much.
It's this word that pops up that has this mysterious meaning.
It's been on engravings that I've shown. I think it was even on the I'm pretty sure Azoth is actually on the circular engraving that Heinrich Kuhnroth did, that I think that kind of has one of the more of an original version of Baphomet. It has the Solvay coagula on the arms. They're not, one's not raised though, but it's also half man and half woman. And the Azoth is, I think, is above it with like some black bird or like a phoenix. I think it says Azoth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a company called Azoth that makes robes. Magic.
Here we go. Am I sharing this one now?
Let me see. Oh, okay. There you go.
Right.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Right. He's taking all those little elements into the same thing. I'm not sure who did this one.
Yo, I went to an escape room that had this on the wall. I was like, what the like, where'd you get the idea to use this?
Right. Right. Well, you got all the symbols in there. You got a weird, 8-pointy star right here. And then you got this triangle and then the feet. And then it gets weird, right? This is a fish bladder. What is he doing holding a fish bladder? And again, this goes back to this idea of this Azoth as being this primary material that exists before the earth itself. And so that's what a lot of this alchemy stuff is. So this is Azoth, Volume 4 of the Collected Rare Bit Fiends, Vitek Rick. Right? So they're constantly going for that sort of same motif, even in Basil Valentine, Hermetic Studies, right? So Azoth is a constant. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Let me see. All right. So we are at 406, I think. See part one. But Azoth, the elixir prepared and perfect. The neophyte has not got it yet. 406. See part 1. 414. HGVTH. Meditation. The one dividing the accursed four. Also, Ain, AINSVP, AVR, the limitless light. Ain South Hour, the limitless light. 414. 418. Here we go. CHITH. CHETH. Cheth Abahadabra, the great magic word, the word of the Aeon. Note the 11 letters, 5 identical and 6 diverse. Thus, it interlocks the pentagram and hexagram. BITHHA. Well, this is the 5 equals 6, right?
Yeah.
In the house of HE, the pentagram, see Idra Zuta Kadisha 490 or 694. For H formeth K, but CH formeth IVD. Both equal 20. Note, the 4 plus 1 plus 8 equals 13. The 4 reduced to 1 through 8, the redeeming force. And 418 equals CH equals 8. By Ike Baker, Abrahadabra, 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 22. Also 418, 22 times 19 manifestation. Hence the word manifests as the 22 keys of the rota, or the wheel. It means, by translation, the Abra Deber, the voice of the chief seer. It resolves into pentagram and hexagram as follows. So you take the middle letters, you get the R, A, B triangle, right? And then the pentagram is 12 HVA macro Posiphus, the greater face. So HADAA at the bottom, and then that would be the diamond, and then the BRA as the bottom triangle. So you're getting the three faces sort of separated out with the different relationship of these letters. Note the ABR initials of the supernals, AB Ben Rauch. This is by separating the one, Aleph, from the many diverse letters. A, right? So you're only taking the A's out of there, and then you create that diamond again. The vision and the voice phrase, which meant much to me at the moment of discovering this word. BRH 207, our light. DBR 206, Deber, voice. So the vision and the voice. So it's a kind of a interesting thing. He's not talking about his own vision and voice. He's talking about the vision and the voice, capitals, right? 205 GBR, mighty. 213 ABIR, mighty. This shows abrahadabra as the word of double power. Another phrase that meant much to me at the time. AAB at the top of the hexagram gives AB, AIMA, BN, father, mother, child. HDR by Yetzirah gives Horus, Isis, Osiris, again, father, mother, child. This hexagram is again the human triad. Dividing into 3 and 8, we get the triangle of Horus dominating the stooping dragon of the 8 heads, the supernals bursting the head of death. ABDA in a box, RB or RAB as a triangle above, and then AHRA as the box on the right. The supernals are supported upon 2 squares. ABAD equals DD, love, number 8. And then AHRA, AVR, light, 207, love and light. Now 8 times 20, what's that?
Love and light.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he is the big hippie sort of father. So all of this stuff really does go into the New Age movement, the love and light, the hippie. All of that stuff is really coming out through this very, very early 20th century kind of occultism, right? So they're picking up on a lot of this stuff and trying to transfer it out, use it as a tool. So at this time, Lieben was the mystic name of the mother temple of the Golden Dawn. The 5 letters used in the words are A, the crown, B, the wand, D, the cup, H, the sword, R, the rosy cross, and further to Almon, the father, Thoth, his messenger, and Isis, Horus, Osiris, the divine human triad. Also 418, ATH, AIV, the essence of IAO, QV. This short analysis might be indefinitely expanded, but always, the symbol will remain the expression of the goal and the exposition of the path. Do you want to take it at 419?
Sure. 10. The number of the laughing lion, in whom Babylon writeth, see Libra 418. Note 419 plus 156 equals 575 equals 23 times 25. Occultly signifying 24, which again signifies to them that understand the interplay of the 8 and the 3. Blessed be his holy name, the interpreter of his own mystery. 434, Daleth, the holy letter of the mother, in her glory as queen. She saves the 4 by the 7. D equals 4 equals Venus equals 7. Thus connects with 28. Mystic number of Netzach, Venus, and victory. Note the three sundering the 2 4s. This is the feminine victory. She is, in one sense, the Delilah to the divine Samson, Delilah. Hence, we adore her from full hearts. It ought to be remembered, by the way, that 4 is not so evil when it has ceased to oppress us. The square identified with the circle is as good as the circle. 441, truth, the square of 21. Hence, it is the nearest that our dualistic consciousness can conceive of 21, AHIH, the god of Kether, 1. Thus, truth is our chiefest weapon, our rule. Woe to whosoever is false to himself or to another, since in 441 that other is himself. And 7 times woe to him that swerves from his magical obligation in thought, word, or deed. By my side, as I write, wallows in exhaustion following an age of torment, one who did not understand that it is 1,000 times better to die than to break the least title of a magical oath. 436 shows what the wand ought to represent, not 364, so we should hold it by the lower end. The wand is also will, straight and inflexible, pertaining to Chokmah, as a wand has 2 ends. Chokmah's a sphere too.
Right.
474, see part 1. To the beginner, though Doth seems very helpful. He is glad that stooping dragon attacks the sanctuary. He is doing it himself. Hence, Buddhists make ignorance the greatest fetter of all the 10 fetters. But in truth, knowledge implies a knower and a thing known, the accursed dyad, which is the prime cause of misery. 480, we have Lilith. See Libra 418. So the Orthodox place the legal 4 before the holy 8 and the sublime 0, and therefore their breaths stink. 543, good, but only carries us back to the mother. And then we have 666, chosen by myself as my symbol, partly for the reasons given in part 1, partly for the reasons given in the Apocalypse. I took the beast to be the lion, Leo, my rising sign, and soul, 6666, the Lord of Leo, on which Babylon should ride. And there were other more intimate considerations unnecessary to enter upon in this place. Note, however, that the tarot card of Leo, strength, bears the number 6, the great number of the magnum opus, and its interchange with justice, 8. Oh no, I'm sorry. The strength card was actually 11. Yeah, 11. My bad. And then they're intercharged with justice, which is card 8, and the key of 8 is 418. This all seemed to me so important that no Kabbalistic truths were so firmly implanted in my mind at the time when I was ordered to abandon the study of magic and the Kabbalah as these 8, 11, 418, 666. Combined with the profoundest veneration for 1, 3, 5, 7, 13, 37, 78, 91, and 111. I must insist on this at the risk of tautology and overemphasis, for it is the key to my standard of truth, the test numbers which I applied to the discernment of the messenger from the sanctuary. That such truths may seem trivial, I am well aware. Let it be remembered that the discovery of an identity may represent a year's toil. But this is the final test. Repeat my researches. Obtain your own holy numbers. Then, and not before, will you fully understand their validity and the infinite wisdom of the grand arithmetician of the universe. 671, useful as shown in part 1.
Well, let's go back to that one little paragraph right there where he ends it with you will understand their validity and the infinite wisdom of the grand arithmetician of the universe. He's saying that everything is made up of numbers and that it's only through numbers can you test the truth of it. And so, he's trying to systematize a thing about ceremonial magic to make it repeatable by anyone that attempts it using numbers as the base. And if you think about it, that is very much like a 20th century interpretation of magic, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving you in a bow that you can use anytime you want to crack that open and use these tools.
Then we have 741. Useful chiefly as a denial of the unity, sometimes employed in the hope of tempting it from its lair. 777. Useful in a similar way as affirming that the unity is Clipoth, but as dangerous tool, but a dangerous tool, especially as it represents the flaming sword that drove man out of Eden. A burnt child dreads the fire. Then in quotations, the devils also believe and tremble. Worse than useless unless you have it by the hilt. Also, 777 is the grand scale of 7, and this is useless to anyone who has not yet awakened the Kundalini, the female magical soul. Note 7 as the meeting place of 3, the mother and the 10, the daughter, whence Netzach is the woman, married but no more. 800. Useful only in 5 equals 6 symbolism. 888. The grand scale of 8 in Greek numeration, therefore, what the fuck that word is? The Redeemer connecting with 6 because it's 6 letters. This links Greek and Hebrew symbolism. But remember that the mystic Zeus and Yeshua have no more to do with the legendary Jesus of the synoptics and the Methodists than the mystic IHVH has to do with the false god who commanded the murder of innocent children. The 13 of the sun in the zodiac was perhaps responsible for Buddha and his 12 disciples, Jesus and his 12 disciples, Charlemagne and his 12 peers, etc., etc. But to disbelieve in Christ or Charlemagne is not to alter the number of the signs of the zodiac. Veneration for 666 does not commit me to admiration for Napoleon and Gladstone. I may close this paper by expressing a hope that I may have the indulgence of students. The subject is incomparably difficult. It is almost an unworked vein of thought, and my expression must be limited and thin. It is important that every identity should be most thoroughly understood. No mere perusal will serve. This paper must be studied line by line and even to a great extent committed to memory. And that memory should already be furnished with a thorough knowledge of the chief correspondence of 777. It is hard to suffer gladly the particular type of fool who expects with a 23rd rate idle brain to assimilate in an hour the knowledge that is the cost that it has cost me 12 years to acquire. I may add that nobody will ever understand this method of knowledge without himself undertaking research. When he has experienced the joy of connecting, say, 131 and 480 through 15, he will understand. Further, it is the work itself, not merely the results, that is of service. We teach Greek and Latin, though nobody speaks either language. And thus I close. Benedictus sit Dominus Deus Noster, qui nobis debit Sentium summon. I have no idea what that means. Amen.
Amen. Learn Latin. That's what it means. It means learn Latin. So I guess that was part 1, part 2, and now we start on 777. I'm looking for, that's page 67 in the PDF. What do you think we stop there and pick it up next time?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, I could even start next time since I didn't read much of this one. Yeah, nice. Now this is where I think well, actually, my opinion, once we start getting into the graphs that are coming up soon, I think for me, I'll be able to talk a lot more on that shit just from my ritual practices.
Right.
Because that's how I use this book for all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. I think going through the first part and trying to understand the perspective, because it's like, right.
I think it also gives you a little bit of an insight on, again, I'm not trying to stick up for the guy, but it gives you a little bit of insight on the guy too. Or how he looks at things as well.
I don't know how common his method of seeing the world was until he came along and actually made it a thing, right? So I think a lot of other people started thinking like he does. And this is why we see this numeration popping up over and over again within conspiracy cultures, because nobody else was thinking like that. And they're all trying to send their own signals using the type of magical system that he created. I mean, that's the easiest way that you can, cultural diffusion, the conspiracy argument is that now you've got a whole bunch of magicians running around that can be picked up and used by any sort of government figure that you want. That's kind of what Crowley was. He was a double agent. He was working for MI5. He was actually a naval commander, right? He was getting paid by the British government as a naval commander to do this stuff. What the hell is it? Well, he's encoding everything. And he's making it so that only a certain group of people who understand the way he sees the world can actually decode it. And once you've got that coding in there, there's nothing that you can't do when you run an intelligence agency and you're able to code stuff that makes you invisible to 90+% of the people out there.
Yeah. I've actually ever wondered if he's ever put any coded like espionage shit in his own writings. Like if you knew the cipher, would you actually be able to read some of his spy shit?
People have tracked that through his diaries. And what you'll find is that the dates that he alleges, well, the dates that are significant in world history and the dates that are left out of his book are kind of synonymous. Like, hey, he's leaving whole sections out and then just picking up his, journaling several days or months later. It's like, what was he doing in that time? Well, you could just track it back to what the governments were doing at that time. And it's kind of obvious. He was engaged in some spy shit. So Agent 666, that's the book you need to check out. But these ancient ciphers, according to, our current understanding of information theory, they're pretty ancient. But these ancient ciphers are giving roots to a lot of the programming that's happening today. So start here and then just track it back. And you'll see that this stuff is already being encoded in ways you never imagined. And today's ciphers are being encoded for the future. So if you can pay attention to the ciphers of the past, you can catch on to the ciphers of the future. So I think that's what's important about this series.
Yeah, I think for people maybe who are interested in this stuff and maybe are fairly new, I mean, you could even be here for like 2 years. Go back a bit. There was a Gematria series that I did with Lisa where we did get heavily into ciphers in one of the episodes. And we didn't even touch on, we touched on enough of them. There's plenty of them out there, but I think it'd be interesting to go back and actually see like some of the stuff we covered on ciphers, and you'd realize like how widely used these things are. Our fucking government was making machines for these things and then giving them to other governments so they could relay the information back to themselves. Because they knew exactly what was being used because they fucking made the shit. Yeah, it was like a way to fucking spy on them. I'm like, who the fuck takes a fucking machine like that from another country anyway?
That's a permanent ally.
Even thinking it's safe.
Well, it's a permanent ally. You can constantly feed them bad information and they think it's real because they're just spying on you, right? Like there's so many different ways to game theory out exactly how you can use these clearly spy technologies against the people who created it, and that's what's constantly happening right now. We always think about surveillance, but we never think about counter surveillance, right? Counter surveillance, counterintelligence. These are things that we should be engaged in right now to make it harder on the people who are spying on us. We should engage in counterintelligence. It's that simple. Unless we're engaging in that stuff, we're leaving ourselves open to massive distraction and psyop. So what's the biggest counter signal to intelligence operations today? And then stick with it. Push that perspective because you can break those ciphers. You can make your own ciphers. But based on the way you see the world, you can start to make progress in those directions just by thinking it out and using, different steps in logic. Other people will recognize it too. And then you'll have people kind of understanding your perspective, especially if it relates very well to the world that's laid out around us. And so, it's maybe a high level thing, but I think it's valuable. What do you think?
Oh, I think it is. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it just, I don't know how to, I don't even know how to say this. I guess, you know, the ciphers, they're good to have, but it's like, unfortunately, like people don't know about them. And then like nobody even entertains trying to crack the shit.
Right.
I don't know. I was trying to go somewhere. I had a thought. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking about how many different ciphers we interact with on our everyday lives, and it's like it's almost innumerable. Like everything is
Oh,
coded.
probably. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess
Right.
even if you look at computer coding, I mean, it's all like, I mean, it had to be ciphered for it to even show up on the internet.
Exactly. Exactly. And we're just sort of oblivious to it. Like we're surrounding ourselves in a cage of ciphers, and we're just kind of not even
Zero
really
clue.
paying attention. Right.
Zero clue. And then you make fun of gematria and say it doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah. It's fun to laugh at people like that, though. It's like you understand, right? But like you're saying that over a computer right now. Like you're being digitized in the process of saying that gematria is bullshit. Okay.
Yo, almost like every single
So,
language when created was associated with the number every alphabet.
bingo. Right. It's just this consciousness that's being suppressed, you know? I mean, he
Yeah.
talks about a Gnostic state that you can get from numbers. Well, you can never do that if you don't even realize the numbers are surrounding and interpenetrating your mind. So, but either way, we'll see you again next time. This has been 777 with me and Nick. And we'll see you tomorrow on Headless is Magical. Oh, wait, no, we're doing the Rust of Gods tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, you are. Yes, you got the rest of gods tomorrow. I think I have a show tomorrow during the day. If you don't mind, I'll promote real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what do I have? Maybe I don't. Oh no, at 7:00. Earlier, I have Colin Conkright, American Esoteric. He's a writer of American Esoteric. So I got him coming on. I asked Ike Baker if he had any guests on recently that he could suggest for my show, and he told me about that guy. So I said, "Fuck it, I'll get him on." So should be interesting. Yeah, I tried to do that a little bit earlier, so hopefully, like, I wasn't doing it at the same time you were doing Jules' show. I didn't want to like fuck that up.
Right.
And I know
Well,
we
we got
don't.
to figure out. We got to figure out when to start that one anyway. So, anyways, like I'd like to see it. I love Ike Baker's suggestions. He seems like a really deep thinker. So,
Yo, I'm gonna have him and were you on for Friday RC? The guy who came on
Yeah.
for Okay Magic? I'm gonna get
I
them
think
both
so.
on, and they're actually gonna, because they're both members of the Golden Dawn. They're gonna cover the Golden Dawn.
Nice.
That should be really interesting, actually, because Ike Baker seems to be rather open about things. I would just keep it that way. Like, you'll probably hear more about him from him about the Golden Dawn than you would from the average person. Just put it that way. I'm sure he'll talk about it as much as he can, you know.
Right. And it's funny because you can hear in his words the thoughts of a lot of these other people coming through, you know. So it's like you could feel that connection between him and the rest of these other characters through the language that he uses. So that's sort of what I'm talking about with these ciphers. Is these ciphers flavor our culture whether we know it or not. You know, we're having that happen to us. So guys,
obviously that guy's into, just obviously he's into gematria. Look at his name. He calls himself Ike Baker.
Right.
We fucking said it again. Ike Baker.
We've said it like 6 times already. Right. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, tune in tomorrow for that one, and we'll see you again next time on the Headless Giant 777 with my co-host Nick.